What's up, everyone? So today I've got something kind of wild cooked up for you. This is probably the craziest game that I've showcased on the channel thus far. Everything seems to go exactly as planned, exactly correct, and also horribly wrong at the same time. And it somehow works out in the end in a pretty neat way. I don't know. I just played through this game yesterday and today, and it got a little wild. So we're starting as Jarl Dire the Stranger of Kernagardr, which, from what I can find on the internet briefly, this character isn't exactly a historical character, more of kind of a legend of an individual who settled around Kiev, who was a Varangian veteran and supposedly a grandson of Ragnar Lothbrok. And it's kind of a mythicized character, a semi-legend character that you would call it. So we start with the genius trait, insane stats for this mythical character, although we are a bastard founder of our dynasty. So we don't stand to inherit anything when our father, Jarl Halfdan Whiteshirt, eventually dies. So we've got to forge our own way here. We are Norse, and Kernagardr is a Norse holy site, so we're 1 out of 3 towards reforming our religion if we ever want to feudalize, since you do have to have a reformed religion in order to feudalize. But getting to the other two would involve us going all the way to Scandinavia, which would be a little difficult from us where we're starting. So for now, I'm just using our massive 500 and something starting gold to build some buildings, using our starting prestige as well. We do start with one son who does not have any of our genius, intelligent, quick, inheritable traits, unfortunately, but we will make do. You do start way stronger than everybody else around you. You start personally holding every single county except for one in your home duchy. And you also start with 1,000 special event troops. So these are troops that will not reinforce, so as they die in battle and die due to attrition, they're dead. They're not coming back. But you spawn with Huskarls, Varangian veterans in your special troops. Like, it's a really good start. You are really, really powerful, and you can really take it in a million different directions. My objective for this game is to get the Miklagarðaríki achievement. I know I'm absolutely butchering that pronunciation. However, there's a few things that we have to do in order to get this achievement. We have to be Asatru, which we are, starting as Jarl Dire the Stranger. We have to hold all of the original Thessalonica kingdom, which is currently owned by the Byzantine Empire. It basically is Greece. And we have to have any empire title that is not the Empire of Byzantium. So we have to somehow, as fast as possible, become an emperor and then conquer the home kingdom of the Byzantine Empire. That just, it's easy, right? Starting as a character who's different culture, different religion from his entire starting duchy and whatnot. At least we get some starting event troops to make things a little bit easier. As you've probably been seeing in the background, what I'm essentially doing here is just trying to pick off all of the little guys around us so that we can try and form a kingdom. I also divorced my wife and remarried somebody with really high stewardship so that I could hold all of the holdings in my home duchy directly. I love doing that. It seems so neat. It seems so nice. When you can't do it, it just makes me mad. I hate having vassals in my home duchy. Anyways, all of these wars are super easy. I mean, our men-at-arms are really good. Our event troops are really good. So we're just kind of waltzing into these people's territory and yoinking it. And then whenever I'm having any more sons, guess what? They're getting it. They're 0, they're 1, they're 2, they're 3 years old. Doesn't matter. Your account now. Time to rule, have fun. Hopefully you have a good regent. I don't know. Get out of my house. Go be on your own. Go be a Viking. That's what we're doing. We're shipping them off. They're getting their inheritance early. Right now we just have the one. I never like giving any land to my primary heir because I want them to just cleanly inherit everything that I had. So we have some carryover. I don't know. How do you do your inheritance? This is just the way that I manage mine when I still have partition. I just try and conquer as fast as I have kids so that I can keep giving them land so that they inherit less. I don't know. Pretty strange, but it works out. It works out. Will we need it to work out in this playthrough? I don't know. We'll see what Jarl Dire gets up to. But here's our first son. He's 0. He got the intelligent trait. Fantastic. we might want to disinherit our first son so that we can play as this guy. But we'll name him something cool like Ragnar after his grandfather, Mr. Ragnar Lothbrok, and we'll just keep conquering. We never stop conquering. We're Norse, we're Vikings. That's what we do. That's what we have to do. We're in kind of a weird starting spot since Jarl Dire kind of starts in the middle of 4 kingdoms and in the middle of like 4 empires. So there really is no clear direction. I'm just trying to conquer everybody around me so that I can maybe try and get the Kingdom of Ruthenia or something around there. I was able to get 20% cultural acceptance with Russian really, really early on so that I could go ahead and form the hybrid culture that I wanted. Forming a hybrid culture is really good if you're trying to feudalize. Why? Because when I make this hybrid culture, it's only going to spawn in a couple provinces. I think in our case it spawned in 2. So you can dev those provinces super, super high, which one of them is always going to be your capital, which you need to dev your capital up to 10 in order to feudalize anyways. So you dev your capital up to 10, you dev the other province up, and then your average development, which contributes to how fast you research innovations for your culture, is going to be crazy. It's going to be off the charts. So over the course of the game, you dev each one up to 30, right? That's going to be so much better than, say, the Russian culture, which is going to be diluted over all of these provinces that have 3-4 development. So if you're trying to feudalize and you need those innovations and you need that development in order to feudalize, form a hybrid culture and keep it small. That's the best possible thing for you to do. In addition to conquering, I'm also spamming hunts and I'm spamming feasts on cooldowns because all of our conquering costs prestige. And I'm also going on a pilgrimage since we're still pretty young. You know, piety is never a bad thing and we have the money to do it. The tribal buildings, if you build them early on, especially with Jarl Dire's starting money, and you build the market stalls, each one gives you plus 0.4, just straight up. You build it for less than 100 gold and it gives you plus 0.4 a month. They're crazy. Build them very early on. You'll never be wanting for money, especially since your men-at-arms cost prestige. The market stalls and the gathering halls are going to be your best friends. So please, if you're playing tribal, build those buildings. Build them quickly and build a lot of them. We were having some issues with rebellions throughout pretty much the entire playthrough since I couldn't convert religion to the native religion and I wasn't exactly the same culture. We had really high cultural acceptance since we formed a hybrid culture, but not being the same religion meant that we were always dealing with peasant rabble rebellions pretty much on cooldown, which was pretty annoying, but as we all know, the CK3 rebellions are never really a huge problem, more just kind of a thorn in the side. I was originally going to attempt this playthrough as a custom character that I was going to build and spec on my own and do all of that, but when you think about it, Jarl Dire is in the perfect location for you to start going for this achievement. This is pretty much exactly where you want to be. You're close to the Byzantine Empire so that you can expand and form your own empire, but you're not so close that they're going to be an immediate problem upon starting, and you start with the genius trait. You start with a character that is objectively better than anything you could make in the custom ruler designer. I mean, the only downside for me was that we had a diplomacy education, and I think the diplomacy tree is awful. I despise the diplomacy tree. All of the things about befriending people and getting more points for that, the only good parts about it are that you can get your family members more skill points, your kids more skill points. But the whole befriending people, doing all of that, plotting to befriend people, sway people, I don't care. It just seems like busy work to me. I never do it. I like playing as the Vikings. I like killing people. I like going to war. I like, I like building big buildings and having lots of money. And the diplomacy tree is like, you can have lots of friends and people kind of like you a bit more. That's just not exciting to me. I don't know. What's your favorite skill tree in the game? My least favorite, obviously, diplomacy. I went down the middle tree to try and maximize my prestige and my level of fame impact, since some casus bellis that I wanted to use are going to be locked behind our level of fame, such as conquering duchies and things like that, but the rest of them were pretty much useless. I put 1 point into the right tree just to give my children some free points, and then after that I just went straight down the center tree. So I don't know. I think that's the only bad thing about my start, but other than that, it's just absolutely incredible. Each time I'm at peace, I'm just kind of clicking on all of the people surrounding me that I don't have truces on and scouting how many troops they have and how many allies they have. And anytime that I see anybody that's in a reasonable range for me to conquer, I'm immediately declaring war on them. Right now I'm trying to stick to just the smaller people so that it makes sense for me to declare war for single counties, while I am building up my prestige trying to get to, I believe it's level of fame 3? Level 3 that you need to conquer duchies, and then I'm going to start going after some of the bigger targets. It doesn't really make sense for me to declare war on somebody who holds multiple provinces in the same duchy when I can just come back later when I have more prestige and take it all in the same war. Don't want to be repeating steps here when we're trying to expand as fast as possible. I was mainly focusing on the north up to this point because my strategy going in was to try and conquer north, to maybe get to my holy sites, reform the faith, play more of a long game, use my starting character as more of a launching pad to go off from there, and then focus on the exact things that we needed to get the achievement later on. I wasn't really planning on doing a whole lot except really establishing myself and forming a solid kingdom as this character before he inevitably died. So that's why I'm trying to go north away from the Byzantines, and that's why all of my wars up until this point have been to the north. But then I saw Yedisan in the south is actually independent since the Magyars migrated and they left them behind. So I was like, once I get the correct level of fame, I'm going to declare war for that duchy because they have no friends. In this case, I saw that this single county was getting absolutely dumpstered by his neighbor, so I needed to declare war right then before Turov could come in and swoop it. So if you do see that somebody is losing a war to another person and you want their territory before the other person, you can declare war on them and then fight them both. You'll be hostile to the aggressor here, so that's the exact reason why I decided to go in on this province. After this, straight down south to Yedisan, that's just a free chunk of land. There are so many counties in both of these duchies. The Duchy of Kurnagarder and the Duchy of Yedisan, I believe each have 6 provinces. Those are massive. I don't understand why they're so big, but, you know, it was good for us. We got to conquer 6 provinces in a single war. And the war was super easy. We fought him in a single battle. He was leading his own troops, and then, uh-oh, he's in my dungeon. How did that happen? He just magically teleported from his throne room into dungeon. Now he has no more throne room. It's my throne room. He gets to go back home to his single province, I guess. I don't know. Like, that was one of the easiest wars of my entire life. Now, you know, I'm high on life. I'm thinking, this is great. This is great. We have so many troops. We're doing so good. I'm going to declare war on the Khan. Why not? He has a lot of land in my kingdom. I want to fight the Khan. Surprisingly, he only had like 3,000 troops. I don't know how that happened. His empire is so huge and he only has 3,000 men. Like, I'm a double duke at this point and I have more than him. Granted, a few hundred of those are event troops still, but I don't get it. How is he so weak? Doesn't make any sense. He isn't in any like internal wars or anything. Like, up until this point, the empire had been pretty stable. I think the original Khan had died already, so they had gone through a succession once, but other than that, they were pretty much fine. This was just a really unfortunate army maneuver. I marched in and then split my troops so that I could siege 2 counties at the same time. And then he rose his troops up in just a few days right next to me, which I wasn't expecting him to be able to do, right as a group of raiders walked in behind me. So he caught half my army, and then the other half of my army couldn't retreat out fast enough because the raiders were blocking my exit. So I had to stop and fight the raiders, and then as I was fighting them, the Khan came in and reinforced. But we called in our good old buddy old pal dynasty member and ally Bjorn Ironside to get the Swedes in here to invade the Khanate with me. And from here, it was just carpet sieging. A lot of this war is just carpet sieging. I absolutely despise invading really, really, really big countries in this game because it's just annoying. I feel like it is pretty accurate to how sieging would have been at this point in time with the supply system, and you go in with a set amount of supplies. If you run out of supplies because the siege is taking too long, you're going to start taking a lot of losses. It's just really annoying where you have to walk in, siege one province, walk back out, get more supplies, walk back in, siege another province. Like, especially early game, walking around with big stacks, big armies is just nearly impossible. The Khan decided to invade in the south, so we gathered up all of our men, fought him, and that was that. We had our duchy from the Khan, which was all of the land that we needed from him in order to form our kingdom. Next, I just had to take a couple provinces off of Turov, and then we were going to be set. And I mean, just look at this character. He's just insane. I don't know, actually, if any of his starting traits or if his education, like his diplomacy education, are randomized or not, or if they're set. I haven't tried resetting or playing as this character multiple times, so. I had another son who's also intelligent, so it seems like every single one of my children, except my heir, is getting the good congenital traits, which is just unfortunate. At this point in time, I'm not the dynasty head, so I can't actually disinherit anybody, so we're just going to have to tough it out on the succession. I declare war for the High Chiefdom of Turov, which is going to leave this one province just surrounded by my territory, which I wasn't thinking about at the time, and I didn't even notice at the time, but I've been editing this video for the past couple hours now, and oh my god, has it pissed me off the entire time I've been editing. I hate the fact that I declared war for these two provinces and just left the other one. So, I also had another son who was quick, but he also had no face and no head until just then. I don't know, I get that glitch all the time. I don't know if it's just me, if something's up with my game, but this is just base CK3 Iron Man because I'm going for an achievement. At first when it was happening, I thought it was the full screen barbershop mod that I used to go in and get screenshots and whatnot, but no, it's just CK3. I don't know, sometimes my characters just don't have faces and they look like sleep paralysis demons. I don't know. It's so strange. But this is just a similar war to the ones that we had at the beginning of the game. Super easy, walk in, fight them a few times. The AI does the thing where they suicide, trying to stop you from sieging, just to delay the inevitable. But we were able to take the two provinces, leave the one in the middle, form a little donut around it, and that was the last province that we needed to form the kingdom. Now we're just gonna wait on some gold. And, like normal, giving the provinces away to my infant children to govern, because that's the best way to run a kingdom in the 9th century. Of course, nothing bad could ever happen, ever. We were able to finish off the middle tree of the diplomacy tree, and then finally get out of that god-forsaken skill tree and hop on over to the learning lifestyle. I took scholarship now with the intention of swapping over to medicine once Jarl Dyer was starting to have a hard time doing the old living thing. Never actually wound up needing it for a while, so I decided to stick to the development bonus. Our dad died, which was unfortunate, and we were the ones responsible for burying him, the disinherited bastard adventurer. So for some reason, they decided to ship his body all the way from Jorvik in Britain, all the way to Kernagardr, so that we could bury it in Kernagardr. Makes sense, yes. So we stuck him on a really nice boat and set him out to sail before lighting the boat on fire like they do in Game of Thrones. Very nice. So that's honestly a really good way to go out. That's, you know, you get set out on the boat and then people just watch you drift away and then eventually someone shoots the arrow. I don't know. Seems pretty sick to me. But again, I don't know how they were able to get his body from Britain to here without it decomposing along the way. Seems pretty odd to me. The expansion has not stopped. At this point, I'm like, we have some once-in-a-lifetime CBs that we need to use, like the Kingdom Invasion. So I'm looking at the Khan to my east, and I'm thinking, what's the best kingdom that I can invade to get the most land away from the Khan? And maybe I can use that towards getting my empire? I don't know. That's where my head was at this point, while we were forming the Kingdom of Ruthenia. Wow. Everybody clap for Jarl Dyer. Look at that empty throne room with his one measly artifact. So prestigious, so nice. One of the most powerful men in the East. Can't even afford furniture. Like, come on. It's a disgrace. What is this? So ugly. Anyways. Moldavia had formed a while prior, And then I saw on our CB list that I could subjugate him, even though he was a kingdom rank. So I was like, wait a second. There's no way, right? There's no way a kingdom tier person can subjugate an empire tier person, right? That just shouldn't work. Because, you know, you would think subjugating means you just put somebody beneath you, and in order to put somebody beneath you, they would have to have a lower tier title than you. You would think, but no, it works. So I immediately started spamming hunts and feasts, and I was able to declare a subjugate war for the entire Khanate. Which I, of course, did, because we're like 3 times as strong as this guy. So I was thoroughly bamboozled at this point, and I still am. I don't know how I was able to do this, or why. I don't know how anybody would like put up with this, with some Ruthenian Viking just walking in and being like, listen, I know my realm is like a quarter the size of yours, but listen, if I siege down like 10% of it and thwap your army around a little bit, you should just swear fealty. Right? Which, I mean, okay, now that I like talked it out a little bit, is kind of how medieval warfare worked. I don't know. It just seems a little odd. But we called in all of the allies and were prepared to meet them in open battle in the south once again, where they love to invade, and lo and behold, the Khan decided to lead the troops himself. That's a great omen. He did manage to kill my son. Kind of annoying. He was a good son, but he wasn't my heir. He had some weird traits, so I was just kind of like, ah, no, my son. Oh well, got more of those. So I think we all know where this is going. The Khan's leading the troops himself, and nope, we didn't get him. Dang it. Now I have to actually carpet siege again. Like, what is this? I hate carpet sieging. I know I've said that a million times, but oh my god, is it awful. But the Khan was thoroughly beaten at this point. His armies were in full retreat. I was going into full carpet siege mode, splitting up the army, trouncing him again in the north when he regrouped and came back. I mean, there was just no hope for the guy at all. All that was left was to siege down a few more provinces, and we were going to be the rightful Khan by right of conquest. Nobody was going to be able to stop Jarl Dyer at all. This was his destiny. He was meant for it. He was made for this. Just kept splitting the army up. Carpet siege, carpet siege, carpet siege. I mean, look at that. Oh! He's dead. He's dead. He drank himself to death. The drunk killed himself via alcohol. So all of that progress was just gone. Which I checked, and I can just immediately declare another subjugate on a successor, but it's going to cost me another 750 prestige. So raise the runestone, start farming the hunts and the feasts and things like that, so we can go back for round 2. Time to start over. Very nice. Very nice. I was so mad when that happened. Oh my goodness. It refunds my 750 prestige, but since I called in allies and spent about another 700 prestige calling in allies, we didn't immediately have enough to just redeclare the war. So King Bjorn was dead, and apparently his successor, King Knud, didn't feel like joining unless we called him in as a dynasty member, because he wouldn't ally me. So we had to spend some dynasty renown on that, unfortunately. I hate doing that. The only thing that I'm okay with spending renown on is disinheriting people and the dynasty legacies. Other than that, I hoard it. I hoard it. This war, like the one previous, was going really, really, really well. We were sieging, the armies were beaten, it was just smooth sailing from here on out, and he got deposed. I don't even know how. He must have just submitted to a faction that pressed demands on him or something, because his brother took over. I don't know, but it happened again. It happened again, and now I'm short another 300 prestige. Like, how does this happen twice in a row? This is the most unlucky I've been in one of these games so far. I don't understand it. So I took my rage out on some prisoners that I decided to sacrifice to the gods. And while we sacrifice those prisoners, I'm going to take this time to say, sorry if my voice gets a little rough from here on out. Recording these voiceovers really has been taking a toll on my vocal cords. Normally I am a pretty soft-spoken, reserved person who doesn't speak much. So, you know, going through and recording 30 to 40 minutes of just pure talking at honestly a louder volume than I normally speak in my day-to-day life. Just by the end of it, normally I'm recording like a couple minutes and then pausing and then coughing for about 30 to 45 seconds and then recording another chunk and then pausing and then coughing for 30 to 45 seconds. So, you know, if my voice just self-destructs from here on out, it's okay. I'm okay. It gets better after like a few hours after I'm done. But just know that, you know, towards the end of these videos, I'm grasping for air, okay? It's rough out here. We're struggling. Anyways, third time's a charm. We're going to become the Khan. It's manifest destiny. It's happening. We're pushing our way east. Nobody can stop us. I mean, the Khanate doesn't even have any troops left. I just split my army up into 4 pieces and I'm carpet sieging. That was some beautiful carpet sieging, wasn't it? And oh, this time, what happens? Oh, we get a rebellion. It's a pretty big rebellion. Like, that's 1,600. There's 2K there, another 900 in the north, 600 in the west, and then we got in trouble by our cousin for not helping him out in his wars. Does anybody actually help out in wars for your allies? I feel like one of the things that needs to get tweaked in this game is to make there at least some incentive for helping your allies out. Because I always just join the wars and then do nothing. Because there really is no punishment for not doing anything unless the war drags on a really long time and you get that same event. But there's no reward for helping either. So, I don't know. Like, I think you get like some renown or something for helping out. But like, at least give me like a share of the prestige, a share of the, you know, I don't know. I never do anything because I never think that it's worth it. I had to send some troops back to deal with the rebellion because they were sieging down my capital, which was really, really, really annoying. But then we were able to group up our army again, chase him out of the south, and then this happened in the middle of the war. I got declared on by one of my other cousins who was doing one of the Northman army adventures to conquer Yeresan. I've never had this event happen to me before ever, so I had no idea how it worked. But when we got the event, I was able to just buy them off. I didn't know that you could do that. My only experience with these Northman armies are when they invade West Francia and always win, and they take Normandy. This is the only experience that I've seen. I've only seen it when the AI is dealing with it and they always fight the war. But you can just give them the land. So I was debating between just giving him the land because, I mean, it's a fellow Asatru person. So we would just be gaining a vassal. But this time I decided to just pay him off and not deal with it anymore so that we wouldn't have to re-divert our troops to fighting 8,000 levies, because that would be very annoying. And the carpet sieging continues. The Khan is no match for me being a master of carpet sieging. Around this time, I had his army stuck with me in the north, and I had half my army in the north, half my army in the south, after I sent another portion of it up after dealing with the peasants. So he did catch a quarter of my army up here, and I had to retreat. But if all of his troops were up here, that meant that none of his troops were in the south. So I finished up the sieges that I was doing in the south and immediately sent my remaining men to his capital via the big rivers that we're able to traverse because we kept the coastal raiders cultural tenet when we made our hybrid culture. So I just had my half army up here giving him the run around so that he couldn't do anything about it, just endlessly chasing him around in circles while I was able to siege down his capital. This didn't give me quite enough war score, so I had to hunt down his army in the north for one more fateful battle. The game said that we were likely going to lose, but when I was looking at the numbers and looking at the modifiers that it said were actually contributing, I thought we were going to be favored, so I went ahead and took the fight anyways. I mean, we're up like 20% of his army in men, and we also have the advantage terrain and men-at-arms wise, so I figured it was going to be a winning battle. The only reason why it said that we were going to be losing is because they had a better commander, but it was only 2 advantage better. So I'm not sure what kind of calculations were going on there, but that gave us enough. And in the 4th Ruthenian Khazar subjugation war, we won. We usurped the Khanate away and became the High King of Khazaria. This was not where I thought this was going to go. This is not the direction I thought we were taking, but now I'm the High King. And surprisingly, this realm is really stable. I was surprised that there weren't just a million factions because I got all of these new dukes underneath me, and they were all different faiths, had just been subjugated, but they didn't form any factions, so I was like, okay, I still have my invasion. Before I die, we could just invade the Byzantines because they only have 4,000 men. So, back to the hunts, back to the feasts. We had already become a reveler, already become a hunter. We were just spamming these every single time I had the money. And once we got 1,000 prestige, down to Thessalonica we went. I mean, I really wasn't expecting to have this opportunity this fast. I had just become an emperor using a subjugation that I didn't even know that I could do. And we'd only been playing the game for like 30-something years. It's the year 900. And I'm a Norse Asatru Khan of Khazaria who's invading Greece? What? How is this happening? Anyways, the Byzantines decided to land in Crimea, so they just made it easier for me to attack them here instead of having to travel to Greece to fight them on their home turf. They came to mine, and then we did the old kill one stack and then the other one tries to reinforce, but they don't get there in time, so they wind up being the attacker, and then, you know. So the Byzantines got thoroughly trounced, left half the army in Crimea to finish sieging there, and then sent the other half to Thessalonica proper. His army landed back up here again, and then decided to run away from mine and then disappeared. So I wasn't exactly sure where it went. It showed that it was embarking, so I figured he was going to come back. So I don't know where he wound up disembarking, but his army was MIA for quite a long time as I was sieging over here in Thrace. And did you catch that? I exited out of it really quick, but it's another Northman army conquest. Every single time I'm in both my really important wars, I get declared on by a Northman army. This time I just let them in and let them take the duchy. So then I had a Duke vassal with 10,000 men, which was really, really scary. But I just decided to ignore it for the time being so that I could finish up this war. In the battles in Crimea, I managed to capture the heir to the empire. So that gave us a plus 25. We had one more quick battle in here, and then one more siege in Crimea. And that was pretty much all the war score that we needed. So I'll let you watch how this one wraps up while I thank you all so much for watching. The YouTube channel has been doing spectacular recently. I mean, I remember uploading my first few videos and thinking to myself, you know, I'm going to be realistic in my expectations, and I'll be happy if 10 people watch this. I'll be happy if 10 people watch this. Now I have a video approaching 10,000 people watching it. Like, that's just mind-boggling to me. I don't know. I mean, I've been having a great time making these videos, and I'm glad that people have been having a great time watching them as well. You know, it's a spectacular arrangement we got going on. I play the game, I make the content, you watch the content, you push the subscribe button. I mean, what more can I ask for? So, here we are, creating the Kingdom of Thessalonica in the year 902 as our original character, Jarl Dire the Stranger, who is now Khan Dire the Stranger, who has invaded Thessalonica and taken the city of Constantinople from the Byzantine Empire. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than that. And with that, I'll see y'all next time.